Hey, what them games do, what the business is. It's Country Crazy Country King, folks. Shawty KING back with some more gaming goodness. What's happening, Caneland? What's happening, Solo Gaming World? Welcome to the new joint. Shawty says a quick overview and impression of whatever hot, new, and possibly old gaming titles I'm playing at the moment. Delivered to you the only way I know how. Country and in it. Yeah. Now with that out of the way, allow me to bring to you what is possibly 2016's biggest disappointment. No Man's Sky. Now, I really hate to salt the earth before I get my impressions popping, but I feel I should go ahead and nip the elephant in the room in its tusk. This game is not what all those gaming convention trailers will have you to believe. From the quality of the graphics to what you're actually able to see and do in the game, if you set your expectations too high, then you should expect to be let down. But before I truly start to nitpick the game apart, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what No Man's Sky truly is. So what the hell and who the hell is No Man's Sky? Well, it's the kinda indie, kinda open universe, kinda good, kinda bad, kinda way overhyped, kinda go anywhere, see anything, but kinda not really. PS4 and PC exclusive, brought to you by Hello Games. Yeah, that's the studio that put out the dope Joe Danger series on the PS3 alongside a pretty potent mobile release as well. But should I mention that Joe Danger was a turned up take on the Excitebike series on the NES? Well, maybe I shouldn't, because the studio's pedigree will almost certainly have you feeling like the last thing this 12-person dev team should do is release one of the most ambitious titles this side of Star Citizen. But I guess there's a lot to be said about dreams and goals and what have you. That being said, No Man's Sky is a pretty cool concept that even in this era of video games, I personally would have my doubts that any studio of any size, let alone this one, could pull out properly. But this is truly the type of game we've been dreaming of since before games were games, and it shows that dreams are difficult to mold into reality. So to go ahead and run off the feature set, No Man's Sky is a giant open universe sandbox featuring 18 quintillion planets that are procedurally generated from what I have to assume is a complex math algorithm that gives each and every one of those planets its own unique atmosphere, weather, flora, fauna, general geographical layout, all the way down to the minerals and elements that you can mine from each planet. And oh my God, do you mine elements? The beginning several hours of the experience, and sadly about 30% of the game, is mining elements. And not in the fun Minecraft, I can do creative stuff with my effort kind of way, but in a you have to do something, so do this boring busy work type of way. And it sucks. But you have to do the busy work if you expect to make it anywhere in the game. Literally, because you'll be stuck on one planet if you don't. And at least the elements you mine tie into the upgrade system the game has, but then that leads you into the next and possibly worse 60% of the game, the terrible inventory system. I mean, from the fact the only real challenge in the game is managing the garbage UI with this garbage upgrade system that, by the way, is confusing as hell and not well explained at all, to the garbage fact that you can only hold so little in a garbage stack of material, which doesn't mesh with the fact that 30% of the game is mining. And man, do you ever have an annoying and frustrating gameplay loop. Yeah, I mean, there are all of that gameplay aspects to find on your search for whatever element you need, such as finding relics to increase your knowledge of the universe and its factions, finding abandoned stations of starships that give you new gear and items, finding intelligent life forms to converse with, even if they start to repeat themselves after a couple of hours, the flora and fauna discovery system that I got bored of extremely fast compared to how hyped that portion of the game was in all the press releases, and of course the little hidden gem that this game is actually about survival, but that aspect of the game is lukewarm at best, so much so it's not really worth a mention. You basically just refill your various meters with common elements that are found on every planet anyway, so why even make it part of the game? So why the hell was this game busting so hard in the media? Well, that's the other 10% I've yet to mention, and probably the most amazing facet of the game, the space travel aspect. And boy, let me tell you, for whatever reason, the space travel in this game always gets your boy turned up. I can't really tell you why, but if you can see it, you can go to a portion of the gameplay really is the defining portion of the game. And part of the reason I put 20 plus hours in the No Man's Sky, besides the fact that I needed to play it for this video. I mean, boosting off a planet and seeing the stars and asteroids and other planets come into clear view, or performing the opposite and watching the planet take form as I break through its fiery atmosphere always made me forget how mundane the game actually is. It's like all the crap you have to deal with on planet was just paying dues to get back out into space. And I always will feel the excitement and the hype that the trailers left me with that eventually would turn back into the disappointment that the game actually is. And as much as I enjoy going out into space, warping and docking in the space stations, I have to admit that like the rest of the game, it's all pretty mediocre. even the space combat, which I enjoy, but it's basically a simplistic game of obtaining the right upgrades and holding the shoot button. Now on to the graphics. They're pretty basic overall. I mean, there are moments of where I'm like, man, this game looks great. Like the planets with the swaying grass and trees, and the planets with water, and the frozen planets look great. But that's about it. Once you get up close and personal, it's pretty meh overall. Not to mention the whole dithering pop-in effect that allows the game to stream in all the assets of the giant planets and moons that look pretty disgusting. I never expected the game to be visual to the force, but the game looks nothing like the OG trailers from a couple of years back, and that's a major letdown. I have to also mention that the randomly generated creatures look like hot trash, bro. I've yet to land on a planet where the creatures don't look like a 3-year-old's interpretation of farm animals after said 3-year-old accidentally got into the big brother stash acid. Yeah, pretty ugly. And as far as the story, I haven't delved much into it, but from what I've seen, there's not much to comment on. But once again, I didn't personally come for a deep, interesting story, but it would have been cool if there was one. But ultimately, what does Shawty have to say about No Man's Sky? Well, obviously, I didn't have a lot of nice things to say about the game, and that's my honest opinion. With all that being said, though, I strangely still want to play the game. I mean, from the beginning, I made sure to invest in building my characters and ship's inventory to the point where not having enough slots was no longer a problem, and sadly that increased the enjoyment of the game, which shouldn't be the case. This ain't no man's inventory. I also feel like the path I took to do a lot on each planet at the beginning helped me out as well, so I ended up being a real one from the jump off my first couple of planets. With those gripes out of my way, the game became more about exploring and enjoying the few elements in the game that I like, no matter how repetitive it became. I think the biggest letdown of the game was not all the hype about what the game could be, but that for people like me that had placed realistic expectations on the game, still didn't get even that out of No Man's Sky. Since the OG reveal trailers, the game has since lost its luster, majesty, and just sheer quality that we were led to believe the game would have. Not to mention that no matter if you play the game for 1 hour or 100, you'll still be doing the exact same thing and it will feel the exact same way the entire time. Not that any other game doesn't do the same thing, but at least they mask it in different visual representations, more story, or it's actually something fun to do at the very least. The main problem with No Man's Sky is that you see all the math and numbers all too soon. And speaking of numbers, at a full price retail release of $60 on console and PC, when I swear the game was originally priced at $40, we definitely have a problem because the game truly feels like a $15 to $20 early access title, even though the game doesn't even feel like a finished product ready for prime time. So if you allow me to say one cuss word in this video so I can tell you what Shawty says about No Man's Sky, fuck this game, even though there are aspects that make me want to love this game. I mean, I enjoy going out into space and feeling like, you know, the universe was my oyster, but it never comes to a full, you know, just full potency. I mean, it's kind of like it has an amazing foundation. It's as if somebody took the foundation to put the new skyscraper on, but they just put your old grandma house out the country on top of that thing. That's basically what No Man's Sky feel like. So the game has a lot of potential. I'm hoping that, you know, future updates and iterations will, you know, make the game more than what it is, or at least make the game what, you know, your heart and your mind would want it to be. But until then, man, like I said, I gotta say fuck this game. Can't love this game. And unless you could get it for super cheap, I definitely don't recommend you pay $60 for this game. But you know, hey, don't let my words speak for yours. If you gotta check it out like I had to check it out, then hey, do what you will and cop that joint. But just know, it probably ain't gonna live up to your expectations. But anyway, you know how we like to do around here. Games, tech, success, what else you need. We out this thing, but before you go, man, you know, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment. If you didn't like the video, dislike it, you know. And also don't forget about your boy, you know, I'm doing them live streams over on that Kingland Media. You know, that's www.kinglandmedia.com. That will take it straight to my YouTube site. Make sure you subscribe on that joint too, so you can stay up to date anytime I'm doing a live stream. Shout out to Ed Fred, shout out to Sylvester88. You guys been helping me tune my stream up just proper like. And, you know, what else can I say? We out there, B. Yeah.